Here we go. Namaste. I wanted to talk with you all about a complicated topic that relates to a possible way people could frame Yogi Bhajan's the scandals that have been coming out about Yogi Bhajan. Now, this is useful for people who don't believe the allegations are true, and those that believe the allegations are true, and those that are neutral on the topic. I'm not here to get into my personal opinions right now, although sometimes it might kind of come out a little bit. The main thing is I wanted to share some classical yoga teachings around the process of enlightenment in the mind, ethics, and other things that we'll jump into. The first thing I wanted to explore is from the third sutra, the third pada, the third chapter from the Yoga Sutras. They talk about samyama. Samyama means when meditation, concentration, and superconsciousness begin to blend together into a synergistic unison of one. This is a very advanced state of meditation where we're able to experience an object as it is. So this is where Ayurveda was revealed from, and the yogic sciences. It was a direct knowing of an object and how it related to other objects. So in the state of samyama, someone could concentrate on a tree and come to know the nature and consciousness of the tree, a direct knowing. Now, this is different than full samadhi or full enlightenment, moksha, nirvana, whatever you want to call it. We could discuss those words in details, but not now. Samyama is an advanced meditative state where we come to know the object as it is, this object of our meditation as it is. It's explained in the first 12 verses of the Vibhuti Pada. The Vibhuti Pada is the chapter on yogic powers. Now, after it lays out concentration, dharana, meditation, dhyana, and samadhi, superconsciousness, once it explains them as samana, it then goes on to give the warnings of all of the yogic powers. So now we're going to backpedal a little bit, going back to sadhana pada, which is the second sutra. And that sutra, in that chapter, they lay out the Ashtanga, popular Ashtanga yoga, the 8 limbs of yoga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, and Pratyahara are the first 5. Pratyahara is the bridge, it's sense withdrawal. And then from that bridge, we can go into the inner practices of yoga, which are dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Sage Patanjali finishes the second pada, and he doesn't go into much detail about the 3 higher limbs. And then he picks that up in the Vibhuti Pada. He picks it up there because they're very relevant to the development of powers. I was around Yogi Bhajan a little bit, not a ton, and I definitely perceived that he had a lot of powers. Being around him was like an amazing experience, and his body of work is quite expansive and amazing. The thing I wanted to point out is that Yogi Bhajan was probably, I'm projecting, or I'm theorizing that Yogi Bhajan had the power of samyama, so he could meditate on an object and know its nature. But he was not a perfectly purified saint. So this can happen where someone has a lot of shadow, but they've developed a lot in certain spiritual ways. Ken Wilber's work, and I'll post a video below, he talks about the shadow of the guru. And this is very common where, especially people coming from other cultures, they come to America and then they get tempted by all of the things that America has to offer. Money, sex, drugs, all which are being pointed toward with Yogi Bhajan's life. So it is very unfortunate when someone has these negative karmas, and then they also are very advanced with certain spiritual powers to be able to understand the functioning of the human body, etc. So I am suggesting that Yogi Bhajan had a good knowledge of how energy moved through the body, how nadis and chakras connected to things, and he was giving prescriptions for his students in the moment to help people. Now, personally, I do not believe that The claims around Kundalini Yoga as taught by Yogi Bhajan can all be accurate because every person is unique and every individual's doshas and gunas and the state of their digestive fire, all these things need to be taken into account when we're developing a sadhana form. Also, there's all of the Western anatomy with what's going on. I don't think that all of the practices are just whatever Yogi Bhajan said, therefore, that it's going to then work for everyone. That's my personal opinion. Now, I'm fine if people disagree with that. Prescriptive Yogi Bhajan approach to yoga was not working very well for me. I find that his approach to yoga works better for people who have a Pitta Kapha or a Kapha disposition, less so for Vata Pitta people, and Vata people especially. Pitta people, it can go either way. We don't need to explore that according to doshas too much right now, though. My main thing, based upon the third pada of the Yoga Sutras, is that I think Yogi Bhajan had the power of samyama, so he was able to intuit a lot, but I think he still had ethical issues, and he had not come to the point of having total purity of personality. So this is an idea that can help everyone integrate and hold on to Yogi Bhajan whatever way they want to. Another thing I wanted to discuss is there's a saying, they say in a lot of yoga teachings, that if someone attains moksha or an enlightenment, they still have samskaras or imprints, like a thumbprint. So you could have cleared out all of your conditioning, but whoever you were prior to your conditioning being cleared, it doesn't like wipe out your whole personality. If Yogi Bhajan was fully enlightened, and I don't believe that he was, he would still have had imprints on himself, karmic imprints. Now this is a really dangerous teaching because if someone has some negative karmic imprints, but they've attained some level of realization, it could lead to them being a very unethical and toxic person to be around. And it seems like some people who are in the 3-Day Yoga community got to experience that negativity more than others, where other people only got to see the good side. But this is classic in abuse situations where the abusive father could have been good to one child and very abusive to the other, and then the child that was not abused just can't even understand that this would ever have happened. But this happens often. With this idea of someone still having imprints, we should never justify someone doing abusive things. The yoga teacher, the guru, spiritual master, whatever you want to call it. I know Yogi Bhajan wasn't called the guru, but whatever. We don't need to get into the nuance of that. The spiritual master should have the highest ethics and the highest qualities of kindness and ethical behavior on all levels. Because when they don't, it causes their students to lose faith, and then they lose their focus on the path, which is what we're seeing right now, even though Yogi Bhajan's been gone for a long time. 16 years later or so, a lot of people are having a lot of mind waves because of the ethical breaches. It says in the Yoga Sutras, Sutra 34, yes, it says the Yamas are universal values. Ahimsa, nonviolence; Satya, truthfulness; Asteya, non-stealing; Brahmacharya, which is to roam in Brahman or God consciousness, or a more conservative interpretation is celibacy; and Apagriha, not to possess. These are the 5 yamas. And then after that, in the Yoga Sutras, it says, these are the great vows, not conditioned by class, place, times, or circumstances. They are extending everywhere. So if somebody tries to justify that the teacher was giving a spiritual teaching and so they abused me, it's very dysfunctional. It doesn't fit with what the yogic shastras say about the role of the teacher. The teacher should be acharya. Acharya means right conduct. So we want to be careful not to justify unethical behavior because someone was very advanced in some ways and not in others. And we can play around with this idea about Yogi Bhajan having yogic cities and some yama to be able to tune into people's minds. But one of my yoga teachers went to go see Yogi Bhajan once, and he had 3 questions he was going to ask. He walked in the room, and Yogi Bhajan looked at him, and in a very loud, gruff tone answered all 3 questions, and then told him to leave. Now, that's impressive mind control. but that doesn't mean that he had purification of the personality had integrated his shadows on all levels. So I just wanted to give these ideas here for you all to explore and to maybe help you get some positive framing. So just to recap, Samyama is knowing an object as it is, and I'm setting forth the theory that Yogi Bhajan had that. There's also some skaras that leave imprints, and I don't think it's healthy to think that Yogi Bhajan had imprints left that caused his negative behavior, because his behavior was, as it appears right now, too negative to be able to justify that. So I hope that's useful for you all. Thanks for taking some time to listen, and thanks and namaste. Okay, everybody, this video is going to take a few minutes because we're jumping into some nuanced topics. So I hope that it can help you frame your understanding of how Yogi Bhajan could have possibly been a good yoga teacher and knowledgeable about certain topics on a deep level, but also had ethical breaches. And I'm going to explore this in the light of Yoga Sutras in a few different ways. Here we go.